I did things like you're doing. I joined the chamber, attended all the events, sat on committees to become known. But there's a book. It's out of print, but I'm sure you can get it in the library. It's not a marketing book per se. It's a book about marketing yourself from a career perspective rather than marketing your business. And it's called Games Mother Never Taught You. And it became my Bible. And I read chapter 1 and I went out and did it. It came, oh, woohoo, that worked. I went out and read chapter 2 and I went and did it. One of them I recall distinctly, and it said, never join a committee unless there's someone on the committee that can help your career. Because typically women are really bad. Someone says, oh, do you want to help? Ernie, I suspect you're as bad at this as I am. You don't know how to say no.
Right.
So one time I found myself on 11 committees. So you're going from St. James over to this place, that's on my committee meeting, so you leave early, arrive late, and oh, by the way, I have to go pick up my kids at hockey. Oh, it's crazy.
That was my day today.
Yeah, I just kind of got that feeling. I remember reading the book, and it says you don't go on any committee unless there's someone on the committee that can advance your career. So I learned my lesson. And I was asked to sit on this one committee. This is law in education. This is where I saw it working, Carol. It worked. They asked me to sit on, there used to be teacher centers because every school in those days did not have their own printers. You had to go to a center. Don't look at me like that, Greg. Okay, fine, it was 30 years ago. You're making me give away my age.
You already said it. You said it right there when you said I didn't see too long.
I'm over 50. I'm turning 63 this week.
What? Oh, very good.
This is my birthday party. Make sure you give me a cake afterward.
There's mine.
You're 63.
Anyway,
Oh, I wouldn't believe that.
you're making me lose my train of thought.
Teacher center.
So the teacher center, they needed someone to sit on the committee. And I looked for, so I read this book, right, and it tells me what to do. And it says, don't go on any committee unless there's somebody there that can help your career. The superintendent was on that committee.
Oh, good one.
Well, it was the dumbest committee. Why in heaven's name is he on a stupid little committee like that? Because he was lazy. He was really lazy. But if I can rub shoulders with him, get to know him, I can, Oh, and by the way, the book told you where to sit. So it says, Jerry sits there, you sit right next to him. And I did. And it worked. So, I did all of those kinds of things. Another strategy that I used, and I still use today, is if I'm at a social function, it's not my function, who cares? I'll stand at the door and say, welcome, how nice of you to come. I'm Barbara. I'm the host. Like, don't tell them that. I just act like the host. So you get to meet all these people. Ernie, it doesn't look as though you really know anybody. Can I bring you over here and introduce you to Phyllis? So I'm just running around being the host. It works perfectly. Another strategy. Anyway, I did things like I joined the Human Resource Management Association. I was on their board. I was on their committees. I was on United Way. I did all of those kinds of things. Women business owners when it started, etc. Here's another thing. When you're a little business, you don't get asked like Great West Life or the hockey club or the Blue Bombers or whatever to go to these big fancy events. Just because everybody knows me now, I walk in here to come here, and they start moving me over to the Keystone Agriculture producers because I know so many of them. I said, no, I'm not here. I'm coming here. Because when you're a little in business, you don't get asked to these things. How in heaven's name do you get to go to networking if no one's going to ask? So I would ask other people, Jerry, what are you going on this month that you can bring me?
Many places.
And most people did. And I have to laugh. I could tell you this story because he's no longer here. His name was Ed. He was the vice president of the Bank of Montreal in Winnipeg, and I'm a good Bank of Montreal client. So I was at a function, we happened to be a liberal function at the Fort Garry Hotel, and he was there and he had a little bit too much to drink. And And he was telling everybody how he treats all his clients. He takes them out to all these events like the Royal Winnipeg Ballet and the theater and all that kind of stuff. So I said, hey buddy,
Take me.
I've been a customer of yours since whatever date, and you haven't invited me anywhere. And he looked at me, and I said, I'm one of your small business clients. You never, ever take your small business clients anywhere. I exaggerated. I had no idea. But I'll tell you what, then, he phoned every 2 weeks, and he wanted to know, he says, you got a bum in the seat? I said, oh, I'll be there. So every time he had a free ticket, he called me. So I got to meet his wife, I got to meet his other guests, and I got to the events. So I guess the courage, what do you call that? Badger poor old Ed for invitations. I was really good at collecting business cards. I like to collect business cards. I like to phone up people or email them now, but in those days I'd send them a card, say thank you very much, it was a real pleasure meeting you. Can I come and see you for 20 minutes or whatever it is? Or I would take them to another event. So really my business has been built on relationships. And 25 years later, I hardly do any proposals because all my business just walks in the door, repeat business. I'm in business, but that doesn't mean I charge for everything. Particularly if I see people hurting really badly and I don't have anyone to refer them to, I'll help. So here's a big example of a lady who phoned me last fall, and she was a home care worker for a mentally handicapped individual, been there for 10 years. New boss, and the boss was harassing her, and she was on stress leave, and all those awful things of being a bully. And she phoned me, and the first thing she says, I don't have any money, but please, can you help me? So in other words, okay, I can't send her to one of my lawyer friends, they'll charge. So I talked to her probably for 2 hours, calming her down. And I said, okay, look, let's do it this way. Document everything, here's how you do it. Well, I got a stack of paper like this on the fax machine the next morning. The long and short of it is I helped her for 4 months. And I couldn't get any help. I sent her to Human Rights. I sent her to Workplace Health and Safety. No one would help her. So finally I read through all this stuff again, and I thought, you know what? The client is suffering. Her client was mentally handicapped. So we laid a complaint with the Vulnerable Persons Act. Man, they were out there just like that. They fired the supervisor, suspended the boss, or whatever. I didn't get paid for that. But people will remember what that is. I remember a CFO who was fired, a senior, high profile, 15 years ago in the paper, blasted all over the paper, lost his job, severance, and there was lots of court cases and they won. But in the meantime, nobody would talk to him, nobody would help him. He was isolated. First time he's ever been fired, and of course on the front page of the Free Press. So I had a friend call and say, Barb, would you help this guy? He probably could have paid for it himself. So I said, okay, come on in, I'll help you. This guy was crying, a VP. I said, I'll help you, but you remember, please, when you do get a job, and I'll bet you get one in 6 weeks, please send me some paid work. In 9 weeks, he was vice president of another major company in town, and I get all his business still after all these years, because they remember.